Hi, I'm Wanda from Alanda Craft, and today I've got a great little tutorial for you. It's a trivet. Now it's just made using 2 layer cake squares or 2 10-inch squares and some rice and cloves. I've used cloves and allspice in these ones, and they're just great. You can use them put on a teapot, or you can put your saucepans on them. And you can also fill them with, instead of using the cloves, you can use eucalyptus or lavender and make them into a heat pack. So let's get started. So what you're going to need are 2 layer cake squares or 2 10 by 10 squares, and you'll also need some rice, and I've got rice with some cloves and some allspice in here because when the hot pan goes on the trivet it'll make the kitchen smell lovely. But you can use any essential oil you like, lavender, eucalyptus oil, and you can use this as a heat pack as well. So the first step is to turn over a 1/2 inch turning at the top of each of these squares. I drew a line across, or you can draw a line across for your 1/2 inch if you're not sure about eyeballing, and then just give it a good press. And then we're going to put one on top of the other, right sides together, and we're going to sew the 2 together with a 1/2 inch seam down here, along here and up here. So on 3 sides, 1/2 inch seam. So we're going to do that now. Alright, so I've now sewn around with my 1/2 inch seam. And now I'm just going to clip these corners, taking care not to cut my stitching because we want to reduce some of the bulk in the corners and make them nice and neat. So I'll just show you how to do that. So you come across here, and then I like to just reduce the bulk into the corner as well. So making sure not to cut the stitching, otherwise everything's just going to fall out on you. Alright, so we've done that, and now I'm going to just turn it through. Now you want to neaten up those corners, which I'll do in a moment, and I'll just give this a press and then I'll come back and show you the next step. So now you should have a 9-inch pouch, and what we're going to do, it'll be 9 inches by 9 inches. So we're going to draw some lines on here. Now if you've got a 9-inch square, you'll draw your lines at 1.5 inches. I found that that's easiest for filling. So 1.5 inches apart, and you'll have 6 of them. If your square's not quite 9 inches, just adjust them slightly so that you do have 6 columns roughly the same size. Now the next thing we're going to do is sew a line along here, line of top stitching, and you'll backstitch at each end. Now this just gives some added reinforcements, but it's also because Paula likes her ends to look the same, so we like a frilly edge on each end, so we'll do that. Now we're going to backstitch at the top and the bottom to give these some extra strength, because we're going to fill them with the rice, and we're going to fill them quite solidly, so we want to make sure that our columns don't pull apart. So I'm going to go now and sew down each of these lines using a backstitch at each end, and then I'll come back and show you what to do next. Okay, so now comes the fun part. So what we're going to do is start filling these channels, and I have a long handled jug here, but you can use a funnel or roll a piece of paper up so that it looks like a funnel. You can use a spoon, but I find that this works really, really well. And what you do is I pop it into a bowl so that it, as the rice spills out, which it inevitably will do, it falls back into the bowl and doesn't make too much of a mess. I wish we had smell-o-vision because the smell's beautiful. The aroma is lovely of the cloves and the allspice. Now fill the channels to about 1/3 to 1/2, and just make sure you bash them down really firmly onto your table, because we want that rice to settle nicely in the bottom and to be quite firm. Push it down. Okay, so then we take it back over to our bowl and we start filling a bit more. So just open the channel, pop your funnel in, just shaking a bit more, and you're going to keep doing that with each of the channels, and you're going to keep, as you keep filling, you're going to come out and keep bashing them down so that they're nice and firm in here, and you're going to keep doing that till you've got about 1 inch at the top, because you'll need some room for your sewing foot to go along to finish this off. Okay, so now that we've got them filled and they're nice and firm, what we want to do is pin just across the top of where the rice ends, because we don't want the rice coming out and going through your machine. And then we're going to sew with a top stitch, and depending on what you've done at the other end, an 1/8 or a 1/16, you're going to sew along the top here, and you're going to backstitch at each end. Okay, so I'll go and do that now, and then I'll come and show you what it looks like. Right, so now you've sewn across the top and you've backstitched at both ends. So what we're going to do now is just turn it up. So see, we've got a little bit of space here now. So turn it up and just bash it down a little bit to get that rice going through to the end. And there you go, it's finished. So if you enjoyed this little project, then why not give us a thumbs up or subscribe to our channel, and we'd love to hear your comments below.